Shabbat Shalom, and happy 4th of July. So as is usual, and I hope you haven't forgotten just over a few weeks, we start with a question. A little background first. We, of course, are all obligated to read the entire Torah portion during the week leading up to Shabbat, but I know some people may not have had time, maybe. And so let me just give you a quick refresher of what happened at the beginning of this Torah portion that led to all of the drama that we saw during our public Torah reading. So Balak, the king of Moab, very, very nervous about these Israelite folks that are moving next to his country. And so he decides that he needs an advantage in order to make sure that he can defeat them. And that advantage is going to be the mystical powers of a man called Bilam. So he sends to Bilam, and the invitation card reads, "You are known far and wide as somebody whom, when he blesses them, they are blessed, and when he curses them, they are cursed. And I need someone for you to curse." Make sense? Does it? What is Bilam's credentials? What is he being praised as by Balak in his invitation? What? He's a magician. What can he do? He can curse people, and he can bless. What does Balak ask for? That doesn't strike any of you as odd. Right? You are fearful because of this nation, which, by the way, I should point out, has done nothing wrong to you and has, in fact, been ordered by God never to do anything wrong to you unless attacked first. But anyway, you're afraid. And you know you have somebody that you can hire that can do blessings or can do curses. Now, the option that he's picked, of course, is curse my enemy. But what would the corollary be? Bless me. Right? If you have an enemy nearby, you might ask for that person to be cursed, or you might ask for yourself to be blessed in order that you can overcome them. But Bilam is not asked to bless Balak and the nation of Moab. He is asked simply, even though Balak says he knows he could do the blessing, he is asked simply to curse Israel. Why? Why wouldn't Balak be looking for a blessing for himself and his nation? And why would he only be asking for a curse? Fear. Fear of what? You mean fear of the nation of Israel? If I'm afraid of somebody, I'd want every advantage I could get. I'd want them to go down and me to go up. So I'd want them to be cursed and me to be blessed. What is the source of the blessing going to be? Right? Where does all this power come from, this transformative energy? God. It's okay. You can say God in synagogue. It's okay. It comes from God. Bilam makes it very, very clear that everything he is doing is simply what God instructs him to do. What kind of blessing can God give? Only a good one. All right? So now imagine yourself. You are a totalitarian king, a despotic ruler in the ancient world. You rule over your people who are idolaters and follow in your own immoral and despotic ways. We know that there's definitely some more immorality going on in Moab, since they seem to think that prostituting their women in order to take down Israel is perfectly fine when they get to the end of the Torah portion. So we're not exactly talking about a righteous bunch of folks here. What sort of blessing do you think God's going to give them? That's not to say that God wouldn't bless them, but what would that blessing look like? They might have to give up their ways. God might bless them with justice. God might bless them with the insights of morality. God might bless them the way he blessed us, with a gift like Torah of instructions of how to live a good and righteous life. Those are the blessings that God gives. Is Balak going to ask for that?
What do they think? Does Balak think that he's so terrible? After all, he's the leader. He's practically next to God. Why would he ask for blessing from somebody when he doesn't think he does wrong?
Well, he may think he's next to God, but he's also feeling a little afraid and asking for this magician to come do the magic anyway. So he certainly doesn't see himself as all-powerful. but he definitely would see himself as being right, except for the fact that he knows, as everybody does when they search their heart of heart, that being a despotic king is not something that God approves of. In the darkest time of the middle of the night, when Balak would lie awake in his enormous bed while his people suffered and were poor outside, there would have been a twinge of conscience. And to ask God for blessing would be tantamount to asking himself to give up his role as a totalitarian leader, to do what was good for his people, even if it wasn't good for himself. And there are very few dictators in the world who do that. There are very few individuals who do that. Why didn't he ask his own gods to do the blessings, to do the curses? Well, it goes back to the opening statement. He knows that who Bilam blesses gets blessed, and who Bilam curses gets cursed, because his own local magicians, who are mentioned in the story, they don't have such a good track record. They don't have the credentials of when they say blessing it sticks and when they say cursing it sticks, because they're not real. They're not drawing from a true source. Whereas Bilam, and this is much more complicated, and you can listen to the YouTube of the Wednesday class, but Bilam does have a connection to Adonai, to God, not simply an idol within their temples. So he is looking for someone that's legit, not just somebody that is a wonderful puppet to help reinforce his nation and the monarchy that he is a part of. He wants somebody who actually can deliver a blessing or a curse, unlike the guys who just give a good ceremony. So that's why he's looking for this outside hired gun. So God's blessing to a nation, in order to make it stronger, is not going to be sharper swords. It's not going to be arrows that fly super far. It's going to be justice. It's going to be mercy. It is going to be piety, devotion. It is going to be faith. But let's be honest for ourselves for a minute. We often face enemies in our nation, both this nation, America, and this nation, the Jewish people. Is that really the defense we want against our enemies? Right? I mean, if God is this God, maybe we want some swords that cut a little super better. And maybe we want some arrows that fly a little bit farther, or their modern equivalents. But such tools and such weapons only enable us to defeat one foe or one battle. The blessing that God gives is there to ensure that we have no future battles. By creating and reinforcing justice, righteousness, mercy, compassion, kindness, goodness, all of the things that are God's blessings to his people, we ensure that our nation is strong so that none would think to attack, because they will not see any weakness. They'll see no breaks, no schisms, no factions, no internal dissent, because the people are content. They are happy. They are joyous, and they are loving to one another. Who would want to fight such an enemy? As well, when we have justice, compassion, goodness, and all of these blessings of God, it makes those who attack us lose favor in the eyes of the rest of the world. Why would you attack such a just and good nation? Look at how good and righteous they are. What possible grief could you have with them? What possible reason could you have for assaulting them? And when we retaliate, when we force ourselves to fight back when necessary, we will find ourselves surrounded with more allies than if we lack those blessings of Adonai. It may seem intangible. We may want tanks and missiles and other things, and we do need to have the material components to defend ourselves. But ultimately, the survival of our nation, both America as well as the Jewish nation, depends upon the spirit of our people being willing to accept the blessing that God has offered. Balak was unwilling to accept that blessing. And so all that was left for him was to curse and swear and stamp his feet at his enemies. And that didn't work out so well. We are blessed with the ability to be in charge of our own destiny. The people of Moab, maybe they could have had a revolution against Balak. I don't know. It wasn't exactly in vogue back then. But we live in democracies. We live in free countries. We are able to influence and direct the destiny of our own lives and of our nations. Which means we are the influence to ensure that our nations are fertile grounds for the blessings of Adonai to rest upon. This is the gift that we have been given by being born in this blessed age, that we can be the instruments of bringing blessing to ourselves, to our nations, and to the world. Shabbat Shalom, and happy 4th of July.